Welcome to part 5 of my Darth Vader Character Analysis. If you haven't seen part 1, 2, 3, or 4 yet, then I highly encourage you to do so. I'll throw up a title card and place a link in the description to it. In today's video, I'll continue my case for Vader as the greatest Star Wars character, looking at his role in Episode 5. So without further ado, let's get into it. In The Empire Strikes Back, right from the opening crawl, it's established that while the Empire may have just come off the heels of their worst defeat yet, they, and in turn Vader, are looking to avenge the destruction of the Death Star. And for Vader, it's personal, as finding Luke has become an addiction, setting the tone for the rest of the movie as he would be ruthless and at times cruel in his search for him, this time with no one like Tarkin to rein his efforts in or hold him back. Truly being the movie where Vader and his fury is unleashed upon the galaxy, and as his shadow grows, Luke must choose to act as the light to counter it. Vader has sent probes to search for Luke, showcasing the obsessive nature that the main antagonist has for our hero, and the great lengths he will go to find the man that bested him and the Empire. In a sense, this also gives credence to the idea that Luke and Leia had to be hid from Vader as if he knew of their existence. Vader proves that there's no corner of the galaxy that they could hide from that he would not search. This highlighting his obsessive and controlling nature, one of the negative aspects of attachment that caused his initial turn to the dark side. After the rebels find the Imperial probe droid, the movie cuts to what the Empire is doing for the first time since the beginning of the film, and the scale of the Empire and all the fleets at Vader's disposal shows just how powerful he is. It's here that we're introduced to his flagship in the Super Star Destroyer, the Executor, or the Executor. This dreadnought is a representation of Vader himself and how powerful, intimidating, and lethal he is, completely dwarfing the already established large, regular Imperial Star Destroyer, a ship truly fit for Vader. What's important is that this would be what Vader feels like to the rebellion throughout the movie, nearly invincible and quite simply a force of nature, as he would test our heroes physically, mentally, and emotionally, pushing them to the brink and having them question their place in the fight of good versus evil. We also hear the infamous Imperial March in full for the first time as the legendary score truly heightens the scene and the threat that Vader is as the main antagonist of the film. In this shot, Vader is overlooking his armada in the Death Squadron, and although we can't see his face, 1, because of the mask, and 2, because he's facing away from the camera, we can still feel that Vader is in full control of his navy, and expects everyone to be up to his standard just based off his body language with his posture. Similar to Tarkin, he expects only the best from his ranks. However, unlike Tarkin, he has the means to not only physically intimidate, but follow through with his fear tactics at any moment.
You found something?
Yes, my lord.
That's it. The rebels are there.
There are so many uncharted settlements. It could be smugglers, it could
That
be...
is the system, and I'm sure Skywalker is with them. Set your course for the Hoth system. General Veers, prepare your men.
Based on the evidence, there's reason to believe that something is suspicious about Hoth, but Vader shows extreme confidence in his belief that the rebels are indeed on the ice planet. It also makes you wonder how many times he's done this, because he could have been very wrong. But really, Vader showcases strong leadership as he sticks with his gut feeling even when others question it, understanding that while others may question his decision, they've only truly lost once he questions himself. It again shows how obsessed he is with finding Luke, as he's adamant to a fault that they must pursue this lead, as he's fearful of not capitalizing on the best chance that they've had to find Luke since A New Hope. This small interaction even reestablishes how commanding he is over his subordinates, as the one officer in Admiral Ozzel that challenges him gets shut down quickly, and Veers and Piet simply know better and remain quiet and obedient.
What is it, General?
My lord, the fleet has moved out of Lightspeed.
The rebels are alerted to our presence. Admiral Ozzel came out of Lightspeed too close to the system.
He felt surprised, was wiser.
He is as clumsy as he is stupid. General, prepare your troops for a surface attack.
To say the least, Vader is extremely honest about the people that work for him. This early mistake by Ozzel would give a glimpse into what Vader has to deal with, as his subordinates would make mistakes time and time again throughout the film that would thwart Vader's efforts. He also shows how, despite their shortcomings, he simply adjusts the plan and makes do with the cards that are given to him.
Lord Vader, the fleet has moved out of light speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
When Vader says this, he means so quite literally, not just as a threat, but a promise, showcasing how the Dark Lord of the Sith deals with insubordination. This is also a nice nod and follow-up to the Force choke tactics in A New Hope, where then he used it primarily to send a message to the one he choked, but now he uses it as a statement to their colleagues of what would become of them if they were to fail him.
Captain Piet,
Yes, my lord.
make ready to land our troops beyond their energy field, then deploy the fleet so that nothing gets off the system. You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
Vader stoically delivers one of the most terrifying promotions ever given. It's a nice touch how at the start of the sentence, Vader refers to Piet as captain, and by the end, he's admiral. It's also just hilarious to see how Vader just acts like they're having a normal conversation, which forces Piet to try and do the same, even though the whole situation understandably makes him uncomfortable. This scene is the first of many that showcases how truly unhinged and off the leash that Vader is once there's no one there to stop him. If killing Ozzel wasn't enough of a threat, the way that Vader even calls Piet Admiral sets the tone that this promotion is a threat of what will happen if he fails, as all the responsibility falls on his shoulders now.
Sir, rebel ships are coming into our sector.
Good. Our first catch of the day.
Well, that aged poorly. Immediately, we see the ramifications of Ozzel's miscues as the first rebel transport is successful in escaping.
First transport is away. The first transport is away.
As opposed to A New Hope, we begin the film with the battle rather than ending on it, which flips the script of the film. Another difference is that this time the Empire is playing offense, and the battle for the rebels is more about survival than actually winning. So everyone knows that their efforts are simply to buy time. Visually, the fight is different as well, as now it's a ground-based assault, so the advantage that Luke has as a pilot are a bit more subdued. While Vader is not a key player in the majority of the Battle of Hoth, his presence is felt throughout, as the ground assault the Empire embarks on screams Darth Vader, seen primarily through the AT-ATs as they, similar to the Executor, are an intimidating force that seem nearly unbeatable. They march their way towards the rebel base and spell doom for their cause, as there's initially what seems to be no way of stopping them. And similar to Vader, we only ever see them walk menacingly towards others, as this is scarier in many ways than if they were to just rush in and attack the rebels, almost as if the slow march forces their opposition to slowly lose faith in their cause, as they must accept their deadly fate.
That armor's too strong for blasters. Rogue group, use your harpoons and tow cables. Go for the legs. It might be our only chance of stopping.
When Luke sees a weakness, he quickly exploits it, similar to the idea that the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
The Empire is the same way in general, as, once again, the rebels use a creative way to outsmart the Empire and use their own obsession with power against themselves. In a general sense, they have sacrificed mobility for power, and the rebels have done the opposite, which can be seen in their representatives of Vader and Luke as well. This also shows that while defeating Vader and the Empire may seem like an impossible task, it truly isn't. That everyone has a weakness, if only you can find it and exploit it. Vader's only hoping that they don't recognize his weakness.
Yes, Lord Vader. I've reached the main power generators. The shield will be down in moments. You may start your landing.
Even despite the failing of Admiral Ozzel, the Empire is victorious, although they did not have as overwhelming of a victory as they should have, as some of the transports escaped. The rebels are in full retreat, but Luke is the only one to continue fighting, running first into the battle, a great visual that shows just why Luke is so special. He's a hero that never gives up, no matter the odds. While others run from danger, he runs towards it so others can live to fight another day. And as for Vader, he's the symbol of the fear and tyranny that reigns over the rebellion and the galaxy as a whole, as they're all running in fear of not only him, but what's to come. Towards the end, when everyone is in full retreat, Vader arrives to finish the job. Although his target in Luke is out on the battlefield, he stumbles upon something equally as valuable: his friends. Han, Leia, 3PO, and Chewie are able to narrowly escape Vader's clutches, but Vader views this as an opportunity, as he recognizes the ship that bested him and would make it abundantly clear that nothing would stand in his way to capturing them, as they are the key to Luke. Vader knows this because he was once very much like his son. As a former hero of the Galactic Republic, he remembers a time where he would selflessly put his life in danger in order to protect those that he cares about, and he knows that Luke would do the same. The longer Luke would take to make his choice, the more they would be made to suffer. And so the pursuit of the Millennium Falcon begins, as their hyperdrive is inoperable. But even with the odds stacked against them, Han, as their captain, never stops believing in himself time and time again.
Never tell me the odds.
This would rival Vader's undying confidence and ruthless nature, as they would need it in order to survive the wrath that is the Dark Lord of the Sith. And as the pursuit begins, just like Admiral Piet, we get a glimpse under the mask for the first time, and as the audience, we're reminded that there once was, and still is, a man in the suit. This visually conveying to us that he's more than the machine that others make him out to be, more than the rough, stern, and stoic exterior that he presents to everyone. We also see the scars that he has underneath, a metaphor for the mental wounds he's held onto over the years, as every bad deed is a price to pay on his psyche. This exposure plants the overall idea that there's a vulnerability to our antagonists, as, after all, at the end of the day, he's only human, and there's a part of him that hurts like everyone else. He's just all alone in the galaxy.
Yes, Admiral.
Our ships have sighted the Millennium Falcon, Lord, but it has entered an asteroid field and we cannot risk...
Asteroids do not concern me, Admiral. I want that ship, not excuses.
Literally his own version of Never Tell Me the Odds. Obviously a much darker version, as he has no care or compassion for the lives that could be lost. He simply wants results. A true contrast from the man that he once was, as he would do anything to ensure that minimal life was lost of the soldiers he sent out on missions in the Clone Wars. Now, his compassion, which was once his greatest strength, is almost non-existent. Vader here also shows the idea of moving heaven and earth to do something in almost the literal sense, as nothing in the cosmos will stand in his way and he will bulldoze through the asteroid field to get what he wants, even if it's the last thing that he does. And of course, it's a veiled threat to Piet as well, that if he fails, he will end up just like Ozzel did. In the following scene of the Empire, there's then a small detail of the Imperial Star Destroyer that takes an asteroid to the bridge, and then cutting to the officer in the hologram that puts his hands up and the signal fades. The fact that everyone carries on like it's nothing just shows again how far Vader is willing to go, as in his eyes, the ends always justify the means.
Considering the amount of damage we've sustained, they must have been destroyed.
No, Captain. They're alive. I want every ship available to sweep the asteroid field until they are found.
This just brings the idea full circle, as Vader will stop at nothing to get what he wants. He doesn't believe in half measures, and he never really has. So, he will see this through, even if others suffer for it.
Lord Vader,
Yes, Admiral, what is it?
the Emperor commands you to make contact with him.
Move the ship out of the asteroid field so that we can send a clear transmission.
This establishing that there only remains one man in the entire galaxy that has any semblance of a hold on Vader, that being his master in Palpatine, setting the tone for what kind of villain we're dealing with, as it's the only time he stops what he's doing for someone else the entire movie, completely veering course just to communicate with his master, understanding that he's not a man that you want to have waiting on you. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, so if you enjoyed it too, then I highly suggest liking the video. And if you want to see more like it, then definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when part 6 comes out, then hit the bell for notifications. Or consider checking out my Patreon, where I'll be uploading videos there significantly sooner than on YouTube. So part 6 should be available there as I speak, and the same will apply to the next parts when they come out. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Your support means everything to me. And finally, let me know in the comments which Star Wars character is the most ruthless and why. And who knows, they might be in the next one. Until next time, I'm altering the deal. Pray that I don't alter it any further.